Most people think emotional control means feeling nothing. They think calmness is weakness, that if you don't react, you don't care. But Marcus Aurelius knew the opposite. He knew that power isn't in what you show, it's in what you don't show. Real strength isn't loud, it's silent composure when chaos tries to drag you in. He was the emperor of Rome, the most powerful man on earth, yet he wrote to himself like a man constantly at war, not with others, but with his own impulses. Every night he reminded himself, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. That's not just philosophy, that's emotional warfare. Because here's the truth. If you can't control your emotions, someone else will. They'll pull your strings. They'll make you dance to their tune. Marcus knew that. Every insult, every betrayal, every failure, they were tests. The real battlefield wasn't Rome. It was the mind. You've probably felt it too. That spark of anger when someone disrespects you. That rush of frustration when plans collapse. That anxiety when things slip out of your control. But Marcus would tell you, stop letting emotions be your master. He'd say, does yelling fix the storm? Does rage rebuild what's broken? He believed emotions were messages, not commands. Feel them, but don't follow them. He trained himself to pause between emotion and action. The pause where choice lives. That's where maturity is born. He didn't suppress emotion. He observed it. When anger came, he studied it like an animal in a cage. Why am I angry? What am I defending? Is it my ego? Because that's usually what it is. Ego disguises itself as justice, pride as righteousness, and the man who can't see that becomes his own prisoner. Self-control isn't about never feeling anything. It's about refusing to be enslaved by what you feel. The Stoics weren't emotionless robots. They were warriors of restraint. They saw emotion as fire, powerful, dangerous, but also useful if mastered. You can let it burn you, or you can use it to forge steel. Marcus wrote his meditations not to the world, but to himself, private reminders of who he wanted to be. Because even an emperor struggled with rage, desire, envy, and fear. He wasn't above emotion, he was just aware of it. And that awareness gave him dominance. Think about that next time you're triggered. When someone talks down to you, when life feels unfair, when everything inside screams to lash out, remember, it's not the insult that matters, it's your response. The world wants to control you through emotion, but you can flip the game. The Stoic secret isn't coldness, it's inner freedom. The ability to remain unshaken when everything around you begs for reaction. Because control isn't about being right, it's about being centered. So ask yourself, for when you lose your temper, who wins? The moment you react blindly, you've surrendered your power. The person who triggered you now owns your peace. Marcus understood that to rule others, he first had to rule himself. That's why his greatest victories weren't in war, but in restraint. He once wrote, if you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. That's the essence of control, perception. Nothing can truly disturb you unless you decide it should. Imagine mastering that. Imagine walking through chaos untouched, not because you don't care, but because you've learned that emotion is a tool, not a master. That's where power begins. But it's not easy, is it? The mind wants to explode when things don't go your way. It wants revenge when it feels disrespected. It wants to prove something. Marcus felt that same pull, the urge to respond, to dominate, to react. But he practiced a different kind of victory, not reacting at all, because silence is not weakness. It's control disguised as stillness. When a man can stand in the middle of insult and not flinch, he's already won. Because the one who angers you controls you, and Marcus refused to be controlled. He built a fortress inside his mind. One thought at a time, one pause at a time, until no emotion could break through without his permission. He understood something most people never will. Emotion is natural, but indulgence is weakness. The storm will always come, but you decide whether you step into it. You decide whether to burn in it or walk through it calmly. That's what makes emotional control divine. It's not repression, it's transcendence. Every day he wrote like a surgeon dissecting his own mind. He'd write about pain, anger, fear, and then strip them down to their smallest form. Is this worth my peace? He'd ask himself. Most of the time it wasn't, because emotions are rarely about reality. They're about interpretation, and interpretation can be rewritten. When someone insults you, it's just sound waves. When plans fail, it's just an outcome. It's you who gives it weight. You choose the meaning, and that meaning controls your state. Marcus' mastery was the ability to choose peace, even when the world offered chaos. The modern world doesn't reward that anymore. It rewards outrage. It rewards the loudest voice, the quickest reaction. Everyone's addicted to emotional fireworks, scrolling, comparing, responding, proving. But Marcus would have called that slavery. He'd tell you, you're not free if every opinion shakes you. You're not strong if every word wounds you. You see, most people live like emotional puppets. Someone pulls a string, anger. Another string, jealousy. Another, fear. And they dance without realizing they've lost command. Marcus broke the strings. He decided, I'll feel, but I'll choose what to do with it. That's where greatness comes from. Because self-control isn't just about calmness, it's about clarity. When your emotions stop dictating your actions, your mind becomes sharp. Decisions become precise. You stop reacting and start responding. That's the difference between an emperor and a slave. Not titles, temperament. He knew life would never stop throwing storms. The goal wasn't to escape them, but to remain steady inside them. Be like the rock, he wrote, against which the waves crash. It stands firm, and the raging sea falls still around it. That's emotional control, not avoiding the hit, but absorbing it without losing your shape. So next time your emotions flare, don't fight them. Observe them. Study them like Marcus did. Let them pass through you instead of taking root in you. Because the strongest man isn't the one who feels nothing. It's the one who feels everything and still chooses peace. Marcus knew emotion would always exist. It's the raw material of being human. But he refused to let it sculpt him. He became the sculptor. And that's what emotional self-control truly is. Not denial, but design. You build your response. You shape your mind. You train it like a weapon until it cuts through chaos with precision. That's the part most people skip. They think wisdom appears overnight, but Marcus practiced every single day. He'd wake up and prepare for the stupidity, arrogance, and ignorance he'd face, because he expected imperfection from others. Today I shall meet people who are meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, he wrote. He didn't say that in bitterness. He said it in preparation. If you expect the world to be perfect, you'll always be angry. But if you expect imperfection, you can't be shaken by it. That's how he neutralized disappointment, through expectation. Emotional control begins there. You stop expecting the world to align with your comfort. You stop assuming people will treat you the way you treat them. You accept what is without complaint. And that's when life stops controlling you. Marcus believed that what happens to you doesn't define you. How you interpret it does. Two men can face the same storm. One collapses, the other becomes unbreakable. The difference isn't the storm. It's the story they tell themselves about it. He chose the story of discipline. You can too. Every outburst resisted, every grudge released, every insult ignored. It's all training. The more you practice restraint, the less control the world has over you. You start to see life like a chessboard. Emotions become pieces you move strategically, not waves that drown you. And here's the paradox. The more you control your emotions, the freer you become. Freedom isn't doing whatever you feel. It's having the strength to do what's right even when you don't feel like it. That's real power. That's the kind of power that built empires and outlived them. When Marcus died, he left behind not a kingdom of gold, but a kingdom of thought. Lessons carved in ink about mastering the mind. And centuries later, they still guide people searching for calm in chaos, because self-control never expires. It's eternal armor. You don't need to be an emperor to live like one. You just need to master the same rule Marcus did. Emotions are visitors, not rulers. Let them come, let them go. Never hand them the throne. So the next time anger rises, remember, that's your moment. That's your battlefield. That's where philosophy becomes practice. Take a breath. Step back. Watch your emotion try to command you, and then disobey it, because that's when you become untouchable. Marcus Aurelius didn't just preach emotional self-control, he embodied it. He proved that calm isn't the absence of emotion, it's the domination of it. And maybe that's the lesson for us all. If you can master your mind, no one can master you.